Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lady Peace. If this is the first time you're tuning in, please do well to hit on the subscribe button and please turn on that notification bell so you'll be first to get notified whenever I upload a new video. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to make a tube bustier with yoke. Alright, so this is totally different from what I have here on my YouTube channel. So I'll advise you sit and watch this video till the end. If this is the first time you are tuning in, please do well to hit on the subscribe button and also please like this video. All right, YouTube is going to recommend this video if only you will go ahead and like and also leave a comment for me. Without being said, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, guys. These are my drawing materials, and as you all know, we are going to first start by drafting this on our pattern paper before we go ahead to transfer this to fabric. If you're a total beginner, please go ahead and get a pattern paper. You will need this before you go ahead to transfer this to your fabric. First thing I did was to draw a line at the top here to serve as my shoulder line, and that is where I'm going to be taking all my vertical measurements from. So from here, I'm going to come down to my bust point, which is 10 inches, and I'm also going to mark my under bust 13 inches, and I'll mark the waistline 16.5 inch. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead now and connect all those lines. Now I'm making this for a client, and I'm going to be using all her body measurement for this. So please make sure you pay attention to every detail, everything we are going to be saying here. After connecting all this line, the next thing you are going to do is from the center of your pattern paper, you're going to come in by 3 inches neck width, and you're also going to go down by 3 inches for your neck depth. So from the shoulder here, come down by 3 inches again for the neck depth. You can do 3.5 if you don't want it very high, but I'm going to mark 3 inches here. When I'm cutting this on my fabric, I'm also going to make sure not to add stitching allowance so that by the time I'm done joining this, it's going to fall into 3.5 inch. Now once I'm done connecting my neckline, from the center again, I'm going to mark half of my client's shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches, and from that point I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I'll connect it now back to the neck width. If you've watched my tutorials, you should know this point. All right, so we are trying to get our armhole. After connecting that, from that shoulder slope line, you are going to come down to your armhole depth, which is also known as the chest line. So I'm going to come down to her armhole depth, which is 7 inches. Now if you don't know how to get your armhole, go ahead and divide your round bust by 6 and add 1.5 to it. Whatever you get becomes your armhole, or you can go up from the bust line by 2 inches. So I also went ahead to connect this into a straight line, and I'm going to use my marker now just so you understand. This is the chest line, the bust line, this is our under bust, and of course we have the waistline. Now that I'm done with that, the next thing to do is from this shoulder slope, I'm going to connect a straight line across to meet the chest line, and at the same time, just so that you'll be sure of what you have here, you can also decide to mark the half of your shoulder line on the chest line just to get like a straight line. So I'll just mark same thing here. Remember, it's 7 inches. I'll mark it on the chest line as well, and I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope down to the chest line. This is just to help me get a straight line. All right, so I'll use my marker now to connect it down to this point. Once I'm done with this, the next thing now is to get the midpoint of this line I just drew. And because it's 7 inches, half of it is 3.5 inch. All right, so I'm going to now mark 3.5 inch by folding my tape this way to get the midpoint. I'll mark it here, and from that point I'm also going to go in by half inches. All right, come in by half inch. Once you're done with that, on the chest line, you're going to mark your round bust divided by 4. So I'll divide her round bust by 4. So this is divided into 2, and I'm just going to go ahead again to divide it again into 4. So once I've gotten what I want, I'm just going to mark it here on the chest line. So I'm going to mark, I had about 9 inches. At first I marked 9.5, but later I had to correct it to 9 inches. All right, so her round bust, what I got was 9 inches. I'm going to mark it here, and then I'll go ahead and connect my armhole. So all these points I marked, I'm just going to use my curved rule and connect my armhole. After connecting your armhole, the next thing you are going to do is to get your dart. So on the bust line, you are going to mark half of your nipple to nipple measurement, which is also known as the bust span. So I marked 3.5 inch here, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect a straight line across. All right, so I'll connect a straight line across, and once I'm done with that, on the part going towards the center of my pattern paper, I'm going to go out by half of an inch. All right, on this part here that's going towards the center, like where your neckline is, you go out by half of an inch on your under bust line and also on the waistline. So once you're done connecting that, you're now going to connect that into a straight line. So I'll just use my marker so that it's going to be very bold. So I'll connect it into a straight line this way. Now on the part going towards the side, please pay attention to this part. On the part going towards the side, I'm going to come out by 1.5 inches. Sorry, I'm using 1.5 inches here because this person is not very busty. If the person you are making this for is very busty, like very busty, you can use 2 inches. So I marked 1.5 inch on the under bust, and of course on the waistline I connected it into a straight line as well. And the next thing I'm going to do is from the bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inches. So come down from the bust point by 1 inch. So I'll come down from here by 1 inch. So you're going to connect this point here into to meet that 1 inch point. But before then, come to the shoulder here. You're going to divide whatever you have on your shoulder by 2. So I'll come to my shoulder here. I had 4 inches, so divided by 2, I'll divide it and I have 2 inches. And right now I'm going to connect from that point to meet the bust line, just like this. All right, so connect it to meet the bust line just like this. And once you are done, you're going to now use your curved ruler to connect those points now back to the neck, to the bust point. Sorry, like from that 1 inches point we came down on the bust line, connect it this way, and you're also going to connect the other part like this to meet that point this way. So connect it this way, and once you're done, you're now going to also connect that point back to the bust line just like this. I'm using a curved pad, and yeah, you have something looking very beautiful just like this. So guys, the next thing we are going to do now is to get our sweetheart neckline, and to do that I'll be going up from the bust point by about 1.5 inch, and this is just for me to be able to like get a curve. So I'll measure 1.5 inch from my bust point, which is somewhere here, and from this point I'm going to try and see how I can get a curve across the chest line. So just pay attention to this. From this 1.5 inch point I came up by, I'm just going to use my pencil to first see how I can connect a curve. So you can see what I'm doing with my hands. Although it's not very visible, I'm going to use my marker to also make this very visible. So I'm just trying to see how I can get a sweetheart neckline, and at the same time just to see how I can get a beautiful curve. So for it to be very visible, I'm just going to use my marker now to trace this out. Just make sure you use your pencil first to see how you can get that before you go ahead to use your marker. If you try this at first with your pencil and you didn't really get what you want, you can go ahead and clean it up and start all over again. There's no harm in trying. All right, so as you can see, I'm even using my curve rule just to try and see how I can trace all those parts I marked with my pencil. So I'm just going to try my best to trace all those parts, and and then I'm also going to use this my marker here to align everything so that it's looking very beautiful. So this is it here. I'm just going to use this to trace out all these points. So just take your time and do this. If you try this at first, it didn't come out beautiful like this, go ahead, clean it up with your pencil and try it again. So now that we are done, we are now going to take our over bust tightening, and I'm going to go out on both sides by 1 inch. I'll come out on both sides by 1 inch. So I marked 1 inch on both sides, and I'm going to use my ruler now to connect it back to the bust point. So the part I marked like some little design inside, they are going to be cut off, and this right here is the yoke. So I hope you understand now. So the next thing we are going to do now is to now add all our body measurement, and on the chest line, remember we have already marked our round bust divided by 4 to get our armhole. So you are now going to replace the dart you have on the chest line. So you are going to measure what you have on the chest line and replace it there, so that by the time you are done making this, it's not going to be very tight. So I'm going to now measure them and then replace it here. Once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to come to the waistline here. You're going to mark your round waist divided by 4 and then replace this dart here. All right, so at first I made a mistake of marking my client's round under bust divided by 4. So I'm just going to correct that by I'm going to like divide her round waist now by 4, and whatever I have, I'm going to now mark it here on the waistline. At first I made a mistake of marking her round bust on the waistline, so I just had to correct this by marking the right measurement. And after marking your round waist divided by 4, measure your dart and then replace it back. So I'm going to measure her dart and replace it back, which is somewhere here. So once I'm done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and connect all those last points to give me her body shape. I'm also going to make the waistline here very visible, just so you know where we are going to be cutting off. So this is the waistline here, and every other part here will be cut off. So please pay attention to the part I'm going to cut out before you go ahead to cut yours. So to draft out the back, I'm also going to take away 2 inches from the center part, like from this part or this other side here. I'll take away 2 inches, and I'm just going to use this is going to serve as our zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and connect a straight line across on all those points I marked. Remember, I came in by 2 inches, which is going to be our zipper allowance. We're not going to be adding corset loose to this, but just in case you want to have like corset loops at the back, there will be no need to have your zipper allowance line. So on the top as well, I also want to draw a straight line, which is going to be my shoulder line, just the same way we did for the front pattern. And right now, after making all of these, I just want to make sure that you understand everything we are doing here. So this is the zipper here. Don't be confused, don't get confused. This part here is for the zipper, and from this other side we are going to start taking all our vertical measurement. So I'm just going to bring my tape and then start taking our vertical measurement from this shoulder line here. So I hope you understand everything we are doing here, right from drafting out the front pattern to the back pattern. So just pay attention to the back and you understand perfectly. So from this point here, I'm going to come down to the bust point. All right, shoulder to bust point, which is 10 inches. I marked under bust and the waistline. So if you are drafting out the back pattern, there will be no need to add your under bust to it. This is a mistake I made, so there will be no need to add your under bust to it. But since we're not going to be adding our under bust measurements, there's really no need. All right, so just mark your bust point and your waist line, and also the chest line. That is just the measurement you'll be needing for the back. So now that we've gotten all of this, the next thing we are going to do right now is from the center of our pattern paper, we are going to be taking all the measurements from the zipper allowance line. Please take note of this. Take all your measurements from the zipper allowance line. You can see what I'm doing. So I'll come in by 3 inches neck width, and then I'm going to go down by 1.5 inch for the back neck depth. So the back is going to be a high neck, so you mark 1.5 inch, and then you're going to go ahead and connect it. Just connect it in the way that you have your back neckline, just like this, and you're also going to connect this outside the zipper allowance line, just like this. Once you're done with this, you are still going to come to this very part here and take your shoulder measurement, half of your shoulder measurement. So I'm going to place my tape directly from here. I'm taking all my measurements from the zipper allowance line. I'll mark my shoulder, and then I'm going to also come down by 1 inch, just the same way we did for the front pattern. I'll come down by 1 inch here. I'll connect it back to the neck width. All right, so connect it back to the neck width, just like this. I'm going to use my marker, connect it down to this point. Once I'm done with that, the next thing is to get a straight line, or to get our chest line, sorry. So I'll come down to my client's armhole depth, which is 7 inches. And like I said, to get yours, just go ahead and divide your round bust by 6 and add 1.5 to it. Whatever you get is your chest line or your armhole depth. So I just went ahead to connect this into a straight line, and I'm also going to connect from the shoulder slope down to the chest line, just like this. And then I'm going to get the midpoint around this area here, just the same way we did for the front. I'll get the midpoint, which is 3.5 inch, and then from that point I'm going to mark 1/2 inch inward. On the chest line, I'm going to mark my round bust divided by 4, and then I'm going to now have my armhole. I'll connect all those points I marked, just like this, to get my armhole. You can see how beautiful this looks, right? Once you're done with that, the next thing is to get our dart. So we are going to start from the chest line. Unlike the back, while drafting the front, we started from the bust point, but for the back, we are going to start from the chest line. So from this zipper allowance line, you're going to come in by half of your nipple to nipple measurement, which is also known as your bust pan. So I marked it on the chest line and on the waistline, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect straight line across. Once I'm done with that, on the waistline, I'll go out on both sides by 1/2 inch. All right. The back dart, you just take 1/2 inch on both sides and then connect it back to meet your chest line. Guys, once you're done connecting your dart, you have something looking this way. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is on the chest line, I'm going to make it very visible. But before then, you can see I have a curve around this neck area. I have a curve there. I'm going to show you how I got that. So first, let's make this line very bold, just like this. So right now, I'm going to use my marker to just make this line very bold. So it's just a little line. I just had to connect a line. Let me just show you. It's nothing serious, all right? I didn't know my camera didn't capture this part. I just used my pencil to connect a line downward, just like this. So I'll use my marker to just make it very bold so that you can see this very well. So this is it here, just a little line, just like this, so that you have the yoke kind of like open on the back side. All right, so you can choose not to do this, it's totally fine. But before we cut this, we are going to also take all our body, like our horizontal measurements. On the chest line, we already have our round bust divided by 4 here. So we'll come to the waistline. We are going to mark our round waist divided by 4 and make sure to replace this dart. All right, so make sure you replace this dart here, and then go ahead to connect all the last points to give you her body shape. And then I'm going to also make the waistline here very bold, and I'll connect it outside the zipper allowance line, just like this. So once I'm done with this, I'm also going to connect the chest line outside, just like this. So guys, these are all our patterns, both the front and the back. And for this black material here, I'm going to be cutting out the yoke, and for the bodies I'm going to cut this on the Ankara fabric. So to start with the yoke, I'm going to now place my fabric on fold. I'm just going to show you guys how you are going to cut out the yoke, and in my next video I'll show you how to join all of them together and have a beautiful top. All right, so if you've watched this video till this far and you haven't subscribed, please do well to hit on the subscribe button, and please turn on that notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So make sure you place your front yoke on the folded part of your fabric, just like this. The front yoke has to be cut on fold, so make sure you place it this way. And as for the back, you can decide to place it anyhow you want to, but just make sure it is not cut on fold. That's for the back yoke. All right, so right now I'm just going to pin this and also pin down the back and trace out everything. So guys, in my next video we are going to be doing the sewing part together, and if you've watched this far, thank you so much for stopping by. Please do well to hit on the subscribe button, like this video, and let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Please do well to like so that YouTube can recommend this video to others. All right, so in my next video, we are going to be learning how to join all of this together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.